Okay, good afternoon once again. Welcome to today's class. I think this is the fifth class we're having. So we're going to be talking about the define stage today. Remember that the last class we treated the empathy stage, which we also know as empathize. So we're going to be looking into the second stage of the design thinking process today, which is the define stage. But you know our tradition. Describe your weekend so far using an emoji in the chat session. So let's do that as fast as possible. Josephine Joseph is happy. Okay, Precious the 10th week is angry again. I hope you guys had a good weekend and you made good use of your time. You practiced on Figma, you read, did your research, because the class doesn't end here on Zoom. You have to learn a lot of things on your own. Okay, thank you very much. The next thing is, type out one thing you learned from the last class, but also we appreciate volunteers who want to, speak up. So you could raise your hand if you have something to say. Others can use the chat box. Type out one thing that you learned from the last class. Remember we treated the empathy stage. So what exactly stood out for you? You can share with us. I guess trying to say you did not learn anything from the last class. I'm heartbroken as it is. And I don't have any volunteers who are willing to speak up. Wow. Let's share the grace and go home. Okay, so without wasting much time, we're just going to go straight into today's lesson. But before I go on, please confirm you can hear me. And if you can hear me properly, you can just raise your hand or something. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so we're just going to be moving into the next thing. What you learned today, the define stage, problem statement, empathy mapping, and lastly, identifying user pain points. Okay, so I'm seeing a few comments here. Questions Etentuk says it is better to fail and fix things early than later. That's right. And you can only do that when you follow through the design thinking processes accordingly. Khalid says he learned that putting himself in the user's shoes. Oh, he learned putting, let me read this just as I typed it out. I learned putting myself in the user's shoes and to feel from the user's perspective. Right. So in order to actually meet the needs of our users, we need to see from their perspective and to put ourselves in their shoes to understand their emotions, feelings, behaviors, etc. Thank you very much for those comments. So let's get started. Actually, as designers, once you empathize with, your users, you cannot move on to the second stage of the design thinking process, which we're going to be talking about today, in order to define the problem your users need you to solve. So what exactly is the define stage all about? So in the define stage, you organize the information you have gathered during the empathize stage. You analyze your observations to define the core problems you have identified up to this point. So it's basically the organization of the information you've gathered from your users, from the interview and all of that. Now, the defined state ensures that you fully understand the goal of your design project. What it does is help you to articulate your design problem and provide a clear-cut objective for you to work towards. So as a second step in the design thinking process, this stage is dedicated to defining the problem. What user problem are you trying to solve? You can also say, what is your design challenge, right? This stage is preceded by the empathy stage, as we all know, where you have learned as much about your users. You've conducted your interviews and you've used all the possible observation techniques. Once you have a good idea of who your users are, and most importantly, their wants, their needs, pain points, and all, you're now ready to turn this empathy into an actionable problem statement. Don't worry, let's talk about what problem statements are. So without a well-defined problem statement, it is very hard to know what you're aiming for because you have no information. Your work will lack a lot of focus and the final design is going to suffer as a result of this. And not only that, in the absence of a clear problem statement, it is very difficult to explain to your clients, stakeholders, or your teammates exactly what you're trying to achieve. So with this in mind, let's talk about problem statements and how you can go about defining them. Now, what exactly is a problem statement? A problem statement identifies the gap between the current state, which is the problem, and the desired state, which is the goal of a process or product. Now, within the design context here, you can think of the user problem as an unmet need. Okay, so by designing a solution that meets this need, you can satisfy the user and also ensure a pleasant user experience. Now, a problem statement, which we also know as POV, right? POV statement, which is point of view statement. It frames this problem, which is also, we can also know as the need. It frames the problem in a way that is actionable for designers. It provides a clear description of the issue that the designer is seeking to address. That way, it keeps the focus on the user at all times. Remember, we talked about user-centered designs, keeping your users at the center of everything that you're doing, right? So, and also problem statements can take various formats. Okay, it can be written in different formats, but the end goal is always the same, which is to guide the design team or the designer towards a feasible solution. So let's take a look at some of the ways that you can actually frame your design problems. And this is one from the user's perspective. I put together a few examples here. Now, this is an example from the user's perspective. I am a young working professional trying to eat healthily, but I am struggling because I work long hours and don't always have time to go grocery shopping and prepare my meals. This makes me feel frustrated and bad about myself. So this is from the user's perspective. Now, from a user research perspective, we have busy working professionals need an easy, time-efficient way to eat healthily because they often work long hours and don't have time to shop and meal prep. That's from the user research perspective. Now, based on the 4 W's, which is who, what, where, and why, we have our young working professional struggles to eat healthily during the week because she's working long hours. Now, a solution should deliver a quick and easy way for her to procure ingredients and prepare healthy meals that she can take to work. Now, as you can see, each of these statements, they address the same issue, just in a slightly different way. So as long as you focus on the user, what they need and why, it is up to you on how you choose to present and frame your design problem. That's your problem statement. Okay, so you should also know that a good problem statement is human-centered. and user focused. So based on the insights you've gathered from your user interview, it focuses on the users and their needs, not on the product specifications, but on the users. So for example, instead of saying we need to, or the product should, you should concentrate more on the user's perspective. So you can have something like young working professionals need this. Just like in the example I gave in the above slide, okay, which is this one. So let's talk about the 4 W's, which I mentioned here. The first one is who. Who is experiencing the problem? So in other words, who is the target user? Who will be the focus of your problem statement? So these are things that we need to consider, right? Asking the right questions will help you put your finger on the right problem statement with all your findings from the empathy stage in one place. You need to ask yourself the 4 W's, which we have who, what, where, and why, which we're discussing right now. So approaching your observations with these 4 questions in mind will actually help you to identify patterns within your user research and also in identifying the most prevalent issues. And with this, you'll be one step closer to formulating a meaningful problem statement. So we talked about who. The next thing is what. What is a problem? So based on the observation you made during the empathize stage, which is your user interviews, what are the problems and pain points that frequently come up? If we're looking at an existing product, let's say UBA Bank app, for example, what are the possible pain points? Pain points are like challenges that users face when they are, interacting with our products. So what are the pain points? What are those challenges that frequently come up? What task is the user trying to accomplish and what's standing in their way? It could be that, the buttons are not accessible. It could be that the icons are too complex for the users to understand. There are a lot of things that could actually be a factor to this. Now, the next thing is where. Where does the problem present itself? Okay, in what space, physical or digital, situation or context is the user when they face this problem? Are there any other people involved? That is the where. And then the last one is why. Why does it matter? Why is it important that this problem be solved? What value would a solution bring to the user and also to the business or the company? So these are the 4 W's that you need to take note of if you want to craft out a good and meaningful problem statement. Now, the next one, another question-based strategy that I like is the 5 whys technique, which can actually help you to, dig deeper into the problem and drill down to the root cause. Now, once you've identified the root cause, you have something that, you can act upon, somewhere specific to focus your problem-solving efforts. Now, I'm just going to ask, what do we think is the root cause here? We've been talking about, young professionals and not being able to eat healthy and all of that. So what do you think is the root cause here? Does anybody have an answer or suggestion to that? We just use the charts. What do we think is the root cause here of this problem, that's the problem statement we talked about? Okay, so I'm just going to say that the root cause. Oh, okay, Priska, thank you very much. She doesn't have enough time. That's right. That's right. Balogun says probably busy schedules, unable to cook. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the root cause here is a lack of time. Okay, Amara Miracle, thank you very much. You're actually correct. You're all correct. Thank you. So the root cause here, like I said, is a lack of time. So your solution might focus on efficiency and convenience. Okay, Your final problem statement might look something like this. We can have young working professionals need a quick, convenient solution to eating healthy. Because if you saw the different problem statement that I read earlier or in the other slides, we had people who actually wanted to eat healthy, but they don't have enough time to cook, right? So that could be a good way to frame your problem statement, focusing on the convenience, right, that our users actually want. So now let's take a previous example of the young working professional who wants to eat healthy, but finds it difficult to do so. So here's how you might use the 5 whys to break the problem down and get to the root cause. Now the first one is, why is she not eating healthy? She orders takeaway every day. So she eats pizza and, she keeps ordering food. Now, the second thing is, why does she order takeaway every day? Because her fridge and cupboards are empty. Why are the fridge and cupboards empty? She hasn't been grocery shopping in over a week. And why is that? Because she doesn't have time. Okay. Now, why doesn't she have time? Because she works long hours and is exhausted. So now you can now know the root cause of this problem. Yeah, because she's not eating healthy. That's very obvious. And we have the reason here being that, she hasn't gone grocery shopping. So her fridge and cupboards are empty. Now, why doesn't she do that? Because she doesn't have time. Why doesn't she actually have time? Because she works long hours and is exhausted. So now we'll be able to narrow this down to the root cause. And that way we can actually frame our problem statements. Okay, so that's that for the problem statement. I hope we understand and we'll be able to create one if we're asked to. Now, moving on, designers make use of various tools. Some could be digital, some analog during this design process. Some of them include whiteboards. Okay, especially if you're working in a team and it's like on site. So we can have whiteboards, where people get to write down ideas and all of that. We also make use of sticky notes to also put down ideas, right? We have markers, and then we have digital tools like Miro, which we're going to be using in today's class. I think I remember adding that to the requirements, okay, before we started the training. So this is what Miro looks like. We'll be making use of Miro board for this class, and you actually have I put up a link here that could help you to set up your account. You're going to access that when I share the class slide. Okay, when I send the link to the class slide. So this is what Miro looks like. So now the following steps would guide you. Remember I said we're going to talk about empathy mapping, right? So the following steps will guide you in documenting important points from your interviews on your Miro board. Now, the first thing you want to do is name your participants. But also, you can reserve anonymity by naming them in other, like we have example participant 1, participant 2. Let's say you had like 5 participants that you conducted this user interview with. Now, the next thing you want to do is put up their names on your Miro board. Then beside their names, you put up sticky notes that tells the story or information you have gathered from them. But you also want to ensure that what they said, did, thought, or felt are put on different sticky notes. Now I'm going to show you an example so you're not totally lost. Now this is what I mean by putting participant 1, participant 2 with sticky notes. So Miro board has this sticky notes feature. So you put the sticky notes beside each participant. You can actually have their names if you want. You can have Ade, Ayo, we can have Patience, we can have different names, Amanda, Amaka, and all of that. So all of this, now for the first one, you can see that the person, whoever did this, actually made use of colors, okay? Made use of colors here. So for the participant 1, this person decided to use orange color for the sticky notes. Now, everything on the orange sticky notes are information gotten from participant 1. We have the second one to be yellow. All of those are information gotten from participant 2. So this way, all your notes are organized in order. Okay. Now, once you've organized your interview notes, you're able to develop an empathy map, identify your participants' pain points, and also be able to, please mute your mics. Don't be carried away. Please mute your mics. Thank you very much. So I was saying that once you've organized your interview notes, you're able to develop an empathy map, identify participants' pain points, and create user personas. Okay. So this is what an empathy map looks like when it is empty. And this is created using the Miro board that I talked about. Now, how do you use an empathy map, or how do you create one? The first thing you want to do is, I like to call it unpack. Okay, where you get to create a 4-quadrant layout, just like you're seeing on the screen. It could be on a paper or whiteboard, but we're making use of Miro, like I said. Now you populate the map by taking note of the following 4 traits of the user, just as you review your notes. Okay, the first thing is say, we have do, we have think, we have feel. We're going to be looking at all these things one after the other. You can see it on the screen, on the empathy map. Think on the top left, we have say at the top right, feel and do. Okay, you're going to be taking note of all of this. Now, under say, we can have, quotes that the user said. Do, we have what actions and behaviors did we notice, during the user interview. Another thing, what might your user be thinking? Okay, what does this tell you about his or her beliefs? Now for the feel, what emotions might your subject or participants be feeling? So you need to note that these thoughts, beliefs, feelings, emotions, it cannot be observed directly. Okay, they must be inferred or deduced by paying careful attention to various clues. Pay attention to body language. I already talked about this. I think that's the main reason why I kind of prefer the user interview, because it's more direct, like we talked about in the other class. It's more direct, so I get to study the body language of whoever the participant is. Okay, the body language, the tone, the choice of words, and all of that. So now we're going to be looking at each of them. We talked about the say, do, feel, thought. We're going to be looking at them one after the other. So for say, you can begin by filling the say quadrant with relevant quotes gotten from your interviews. We have an example here. Can I pay online? That's what your participants said. It took so long. Okay, it depends on whatever question that you threw at them or what you guys were talking about. So you need to be able to make out what they are saying and not like try to confuse them with what they are thinking about. Okay, so here you want to take note of direct quotes from the participants and also try not to summarize the participant's response. Okay, and also feel free to dig deeper as long as the participant is comfortable. All right. So the next thing here is the do. Fill the do quadrant with relevant actions from your interviews or action quotes from participants. So here you're going to take note of the actions that the participant takes or the ones that they said they took. Also, what did the participant say he or she did? Okay, this is where you're going to get all of that from. What did you observe the participants doing during the interview process? So all of these are going to fall under do, the do quadrant, right? Now, the next one we have feel. Populate the feel quadrant with emotions. Okay. Populate them with emotions you observed. Was the participant excited, angry, confused? Feelings can also be deduced from statements. Example, I feel like the eatery service wasn't paying attention to my order. Okay, now we can say that this participant felt unheard. Okay, so these are feelings. If you can look closely, if you're using a laptop or a desktop, you're able to see some of the feelings in these sticky notes. We have hungry, we have stressed, we have indifferent, we have happy, we have comfortable. All of these are feelings from the participants that we interviewed. So here, you're going to ask yourself questions like, was the participant excited? Did he or she seem disappointed or otherwise? We can also ask the participants how a particular event or process made them feel. Okay. Also, like I said before, feel free to dig deeper as long as your participant is very comfortable. All right. So the next thing here is think. Okay. So you would want to fill the think quadrant with answers gotten when you ask the question like, what were you thinking when that happened? Okay. So what was the participant thinking? We can get all this information by asking the participants or inferring based on your knowledge from the interview. You can actually point that out from what you've gotten from the interview. So you can have examples like, this is quite frustrating. I think I'm doing this wrong. All of these fall under the thoughts. We have one here on the screen, which is, how can I save money? Okay, this is somebody's thought. All right, with that being said, this is what an empathy map looks like. And usually comes in this format. We talked about it, saying that it comes in 4 quadrants that carries the thoughts, what the person said, what the person felt, and what the person did. Okay, so we have think, say, feel, do. So going back here, if you, like I said, if you're seeing this with a big screen, you can actually make out some things on this empathy map. On that thing, we have, which one do I order? Okay, how can I save money? Then for say, we have, what do I order? I don't like cooking. I hate late delivery. All of these are what the participants said. On that field, we have stressed, hungry, tired after classes, indifferent, happy. For do, we have, this is what the person, remember we talked about, this is like the action that the person either took while we were doing the interview, or the ones you've gotten from the information you have about the participant, which we can have something like opens ordering app. Okay. We also have orders a lot. We know these about the participants. Checks social media, pays with his debit card. These are all actions taken by the participants. Now, next up, we're going to talk about pain points. So I mentioned that pain points are challenges that the user faces when using a product. So these are those things that slows down the user from achieving his or her goals. Those are what we call pain points. So to identify pain points is actually to gain a step towards solving user's problem. So a user tells you, oh, this is where I'm actually having difficulty. Okay, so this is a challenge I am facing. Once you can make out these challenges, you can actually give the users what they actually want. Okay, meet that need. That's the essence of identifying pain points. Now, here's an example. So pain points contain the user's challenges, their struggles, frustrations, all of which is gathered during your interview. Okay. Now, these are examples of pain points, possible pain points that was gotten from the interview with whoever the participant was. Now, if you can see this, we have food temperature. This is a pain point. Now, let me explain. I'm going to explain a few of them. I want to be very practical now. So, if you can see the sticky notes, right? Where I showed you guys the empathy map of do, feel, and all of that. You can also make out that this is about a food ordering app. I don't know how many of you noticed that, but this is about a food ordering application. And these are possible pain points. Now, for the food temperature, it could be that the delivery service actually delivered late. So we can say that maybe the food got to the person and then the food was very cold. Okay, so that's the pain point, food temperature. Okay, we also have I hate late delivery. This is also, that's why I said that it's very important to identify pain points from whatever information you've gotten from your user. Now you can see that these are either what the person said or what the person felt. We got these pain points from there. Okay, we have the next one to be I hate late delivery. Now, it could be that the user, right, got what he or she ordered late. We also have health concerns. Now, let me put out an example. We could say that this person ordered from this platform. Okay, let's say Kilimanjaro has a food ordering application or Crunches. And then this person ordered fried rice. Okay, and then the fried rice had green peas and carrots. And unfortunately, this person is allergic. So there's a health concern here. So how do we actually fix this? The essence of identifying pain points is so that we can actually meet the needs of the users. So for the first one that I said, food temperature, how do we actually solve that? That's the question we need to ask ourselves as designers. We also have I hate late delivery. How do we intend to solve that problem? Because that's a problem. So for late deliveries, we can actually, put in a feature where the users can track their delivery. Okay, so they actually know where the delivery guy is at the moment, right? That actually helps. Instead of saying, or maybe this person ordered since 2 o'clock and it's 2:30 and the person hasn't gotten his or her order and has no idea where the thing is at the moment. So with tracking, you can actually tell that, okay, this person is on his or her way to me. Then for the food temperature, I think it also has to do with delivery and also making sure that whatever food is being sent out is being placed in a kind of flask, a thermal flask that helps to keep the food hot till it gets to the user. That's a way of solving this pain point. For the health concern, we can have a feature. Okay, we can have a feature on the application that lets the user know the contents or the ingredients used to make the food. Okay, so maybe the user can tell that, okay, how do I even put this? That there are green peas and carrots in this food. Okay, by that, you can actually, the user can see pictures, yeah? That can help to solve this problem. Now, what do I order? This is a pain point for users that are indecisive. I'm seeing a lot of food. I'm salivating. I don't know which one to order. Okay. We also have, can I pay online? This is a pain point, especially if there's no payment feature. So how do we solve this problem? By giving them various payment methods, also giving them the feature of allowing users to pay online. Somebody said, why is the delivery fee high? This is a pain point too. So all of these are pain points, and it was gotten from the information we had of the participants. I hope that is clear. So we've actually come to the end of today's class. And the next thing we're going to do is going to go to the Miro board. I'm going to show you guys how to create an empathy map. But also, I need you guys to read on user personas. Okay, read on user personas, and you're going to create one for me using Figma. I think that's going to be part of the next task. Okay. But for now, we're going to learn how to create an empathy map using Miro. So I'm just going to share a different screen entirely. So I hope you guys can see my screen. You could just react to know so I can know that you guys are following. Can you see my screen? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so this is what Miro looks like. Okay, when you have signed up or creating an account, this is what Miro looks like. And we have a lot of tools here. But I'm just going to be showing you guys the ones we're going to be making use of. I mean, feel free to explore when you're less busy. We have templates, we have text, sticky notes, shape, connection line, pen, and all of that. Well, we're going to be making use of the connection line first. I'm going to draw out my lines. Okay, draw out my lines. Okay, so it's black. And then I think I would rather use this. Same thing here. Looks so light though. Okay, so what was the first thing we said you're supposed to do? Create a quadrant, right? We talked about that. So when that is created, what we want to do next is hold on. I think this design could be thicker than this. I'm trying to figure out. We have type here. Okay, that increases the visibility. We're going to do the same thing here. So that way you can see what you're doing. So when that is done, what's the next thing? You impute this. We're going to make use of the text tool here. Just click here and type. Let me zoom in. So let's make this as big as possible, not too big though. I think this is fine. So we can have say here. Okay. And I'll make this bold. I would like to increase the font size. This is better. So what I'm just going to do is, I think it has that feature. Sorry. Control D to duplicate. So I'm just going to drag this here and call this do, all caps. Duplicate, and then we can have fill here. Duplicate. What's the last thing? Think. Okay, so when this is done, remember we said, what's the first thing we should do? Is to organize our notes. That makes it very, very, very easy. Now, how do you want to do that? Let me just think there is that. Okay, I'll just adjust this to the right. And then I'm going to get my text, right? Call this, just like we talked about, participant 1. Duplicate this, it's this. So let's say that we had 3 participants, right? So I'm just going to edit this. Participants 2, participants 3. Now, all the instructions, get a sticky notes. So for the first one, I'm going to use my favorite color, black. I'm going to drag that out because it's too small. Okay. Then you can now go ahead to write, put down information about each of these participants. So let me just duplicate this. So I like the informations button, like I said. Then for this one, I think we're just going to drag these guys down a bit. Right. For participant 2, we can now decide to use orange. Right. Do the same thing we did here. Duplicate. I mean, you can have as many sticky notes as you want. Depends on whatever. Rachel says the notes are so cute, right? Mario is actually has a very nice interface and layout. So we have yellow for participants 3. Okay. So like I said, this is like what you learned about this person. So we can have, whose name will I even use here? Ada. Let's say Ada. Ada is 28 and is a marketing specialist. So I did not I did not, of course I'm going to use your names, right? When we started the empathy map. I don't see that on time. So I just want to put this out there that this empathy map is about, we've had this case study. I don't know if you guys can remember. We've been talking about this banking application since we started the training. So I just want us to continue using that case study so you guys can understand better. So with that in mind, we have Adai is 28 and is a marketing specialist. So because I'm just saying here, let's use Rachel instead of Ada, because I'm not sure there's any Ada on this call. Okay, so the next thing we can have here is what can we have here? Frustrated. That's a feeling, if you can remember. And also we can have need to pay her bills on time. So you can see that all of these are information gotten from the participant whose name is what? Rachel. So now what you want to do is organize these notes and put down as many information as possible. Now you can now use these notes, to place them in the say, do, think, and what? Feel. But I'm just going to generate other stuff because, like I said, we're having the banking app case study in mind. So under say, if you understood this lesson so far, you could just feel free to, be dropping suggestions for the say, do, think, and feel in the chat session. That'd be very nice. So I know that everybody is following, right? But let's just start by, let's say that this empathy map, right? I could just write that here. Empathy map for Rachel. Right. So for the say, I'm just going to get sticky notes. And we can have, I'm just going to come up with a few examples. For say we can have the participant saying, I want to quickly check my account balance. Okay. Then you can also duplicate. Now, let me just put this out there. An empathy map can be created for various participants too. I think that's what we should just do. It can be, prepared for different participants. And the way I like to do mine so that I do not get confused and to ensure that my empathy map is in order, I like to use different colors. So I can decide that the yellow is for Rachel. So let's take this out. The yellow is for Rachel, and that's this color. Somebody suggested Bola is for Bola. So we can now have something like needs to pay bills on time. But the process is confusing. Okay. Now, the next one, since we already have participant 1, participant 2, participant 3, okay, the next one could be for the third participant, whoever that is. And let me just arrange this. And we can have that to be I'm worried about the security. Remember, we're talking about a banking app. Security of my personal / financial information. So all of these fall under what? The say category. Now for think, I'm still waiting for suggestions in the chat box. For think, we can have, I think we should reduce this so it's not too big. For think, we can have I hope this app will help me to do what exactly? to maybe track my spending. Yeah. Yes. So this is under the thoughts category. We can also have I wonder if my personal information is safe. So now, okay, so now I'm just going to, there's this important note that you need to take note of this, right? You have to make sure that all your whatever you're putting in the say, do, think, and feel, they all correspond. Okay. So you cannot be having different things. Now, let me give you an example. So under say, the participant said, I'm worried about the security of my personal / financial information. Now, on that thing, what do we have? I wonder if my personal information is safe. So don't go and have something completely different from what the first participant. So we can say, let me just use this. I don't know if I can. Yes, I should be able to do that. So we had black for that one. So you can know that this particular one is for that. You're creating an empathy map for various participants. You can tell that the black is for Mr. Okun, for instance, or Linda. That's the name I'm seeing in the chat box right now. Or Linda. So we can tell that this is from Linda because you can see that she's worried about the security. And what does she think? She thinks or she wonders if her personal information is safe. So you can see that they correspond. Now, I had a student one time who did not really understand empathy mapping. So this person puts together different stuff. Now, under do, you'll be surprised what my student put under do. I think what was that thing he wrote down? He said that the participants stood up to use the restroom, and that has nothing to do with whatever whatever thing they were discussing. Okay, so you should focus on the subject or whatever the topic, the reason why you're doing the interview. So even if the participants stood up to eat, or the participants stood up to do something that does not even relate, please do not put it on the empathy map. Now for do, thank you very much, Success Friday. This is really nice. So we're going to put that down. We have checks our bank account and credit card balance frequently, because for say we had, I want to quickly check my account balance, right? So I'm just going to copy this because they're the same color. And we can have here checks bank accounts and credit card balance frequently. Okay, so Linda said, is the app secure? Is the app secure? What does that fall under? Is it the say, do, think, or feel? I'm waiting for your answer. You suggested that. Is the app secure? What does that fall under? The say, do, think, or feel category. Think. Beautiful. It falls on that thing, okay? Not feel. So I'm just going to put down Linda's suggestion. She said, let me use this color because I've not used it since. Is the app secure? So I am thinking, is this app actually secure? Do we have any other? Priska said to have my goods delivered on time. So we're not actually looking at a delivery application here. It's actually a banking app. Some person says, how can I contact the customer service? So this is actually a good question. So this should go to say. Okay, this should go to say. You can also go into think, because the person may actually be thinking to himself, how can I contact the customer service? But this will actually be very good if it went to say. Okay, so let's assume that whoever that is asking that question. So we're just going to get a different and just add that. Just keep them coming, Don't use this color. Okay, this is fine. How can I contact customer service? So it shows you guys are following, and that's really, really warms my heart. Okay, so for Phil, to feel stressed and anxious about a financial situation, we can say that she actually feels anxious about the safety, right? Because we're talking about the safety, security, and all of that. So we can say that she feels stressed and anxious about, okay, anxious about the safety of her financial data. So that can go to feel, right? Oh, and we're using black, so for Rachel, yes. So we can say anxious about the safety of her financial data. We can also have frustrated, because we know we had frustrated here. So we can we have for the feel, we have frustrated when the app's navigation is unclear. That's a very good one. Or drained. Thank you very much, Temi. Okay, feels frustrated for not being able to contact the customer support. That actually makes sense too. Ben Yumo says, will I be able to? So it's not ask, it's say. Will I be able to view my past statements and notices? Let's just add that one. And then we're done with that, because we already have a lot. So I would like you guys to generate more for the feel and the do category, because we already have a lot for the say part. I'm going to add this one down. Can I view my past statements, bank statements? Let's put it that way. / notices. Okay. So for do, we had checks bank accounts and credit card balance frequently. Can we have more? Or we can also have, instead of frequent, we can have daily. Update app, right. So if you're frustrated when the navigation is unclear, it can also be that your app is out of date or something. So we can have do updates app. Thank you very much, Linda. So we have updates app. So for the person who who was anxious, okay, and the person who wondered if her personal information was safe. We can have for the do, right? Let's just copy this since we're using a black sticky note here. We can say, let me shift this a little bit. Okay. So we can say that this person, Rachel, tries different apps if one doesn't meet her needs. Okay, so we have this. So let's just go over this again. For the say we had, I want to quickly check my account balance. Now, what feeling can you actually, deduce from this? What feeling can you deduce from this? I'm waiting for answers, quick answers. So if somebody says, I want to quickly check my account balance, what feeling can you deduce from that? Or what does that tell you about the person? Can I have answers in the chat box? Dissatisfied? Not necessarily. Anxious? Nope. Fast response? Nope. I want to quickly check my account balance. I want to quickly check my account balance. What feeling? What feeling? Linda says has trust issues. Nope. This is not about trust. Expectant. Okay, I would like to replace that word with impatient. That's the word I was actually good. Thank you very much, Gladys. Thank you very much, Gladys. That's very beautiful. So yes, this person is impatient. I want to quickly check my account balance. This person is impatient. So for that, we're just going to get this. And we're going to put down impatient for the few. Okay, so what else do we have here? Can I view my past bank statements / notices? We have, I'm worried about the security of my personal / financial information. We have needs to pay bills on time, but the process is confusing. So for the few, what can we have? For this particular one, what can we have? Anger, not necessarily. But yes, we can have anger. Yes, we can have anger. But then the major thing is being confused. Linda and Witty Gap, thank you. So you can say the person is frustrated too, but already have frustrated here. So we can just say the person is confused. Sorry about that. Okay. Confused. What else do we have here? So somebody suggested, I hope this, okay, I think I'm the one who puts this in. I hope this app will help me to track my spending. I hope this app will help me to track my spending. Okay, so let's generate something for the few category. What can we have there? If somebody is saying, I hope this app will help me to track my spending. What can we possibly have? Expectation. Nope. 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 I hope this app will help me to track my spending. Priska says helpful. Nope. We're talking about feeling. Feels insecure. Nope. Needs to save more. That's not a feeling. Doubtful. I hope this app will help me to track my spending. Curious. Well, that doesn't exactly, nope. Curious, nope. That this says satisfaction, trust, expectation. So instead of saying expectation, bleed it, we can say expectant, right? We can say expectant. I think we can work with that. Yes, expectant. Because you're hoping that this application can help you track your spending. You're expecting it to do that. So we can say expectant. Okay, what else do we have here? Is the app secure? Is the app secure? Let's generate something for the field. For the field section. Is the app secure? If a participant is saying or is thinking if the application is secure. Okay, so what feeling can we deduce from that? Trust, Benny Umo, there's a better way to put it. Because we're looking at feeling, so we're having impatient, confused. We cannot necessarily put trust here. Okay. Oh, insecure. Okay. Insecure. We can also have distrust. That's a feeling, right? Concern. Harmony, thank you very much. I wish I had 100 naira to give you. Thank you very much for that answer. Yes, concern. So if I'm asking myself if this or thinking if this application is secure, I'm actually concerned about the security of my, my information or whatever. Concern. That's a very good one. Okay, so we're just going to pick this since we're looking at this guy, whoever that participant was. Remember, I said that it should actually correspond. So in order to make it to have your responses or whatever the information gotten to be in order, I'd advise you use the same colors. So if you're using black color for participant 1, you can use orange for participant 2, so you actually know who your participants are. So for this we have concern. Okay, I think that's about this empathy map. So let's see what we've done so far. Okay, this looks good. Thank you very much to everyone who participated. Thank you very much. That's how you learn. So this is going to come in your next task, creating an empathy map. But first, you have to, conduct a user interview. And yes, user interviews are conducted in person. I mean, I could actually say you should create an online survey. That's for the quantitative, right? The quantitative user research. But what we're going to be asking of you in the task is qualitative research, which the user interview comes in. So yes, you can have via Zoom, Linda. Yes, I think Mayowa answered that in the last class. That's if you're not doing it in person, right? Video calls or video meetings can also help, especially when you're taking notes of the person's body language, their tone, and all of that. But yes, you're expected to do a user interview. So I'm going to point out a few things. Now, we're done with class. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat session or raise your hand. But I want to point out a few things, okay, which is very important if you want to successfully go on with this training. The first thing is to take note of instructions. When you're asked to do something, if you have any concerns, feel free to drop them in the Discord channel, but don't do something else or something completely different from what you're asked to do. So I think I saw a submission. Don't worry, I'm not going to call out the person's name. But in the last task, you were asked to to design, to do a design, right, on Figma and post it on social media. Okay, I noticed that most of you just wrote the post without attaching any photo, which was actually the information. And a lot of you lost marks because of that. Okay, and then other people, I think I know someone who actually did not put his photo when he actually submitted. But the instruction was to put your image and not somebody else's. Your image, your name, your track. This is about you. You're telling the whole world that you're a code camper, right? You signed up for this cohort, you've been accepted, and this is how your training is going. That was the instruction, and it was for a reason. So please endeavor to adhere to these instructions, okay? Whatever instructions are given to you. All right, I thought to point that out. And if a task is being dropped, try, okay, take out time. I know most of us are very busy or you're working. Just take out time to do the task. I know that you signed up for this, and I'm sure you had a very good reason. And at the end, you want to get your certificate. You want to be able to tell people that you actually saw this through to the end. So please put in the effort. When the task is being dropped, try your best, okay, to do the task. And if you have any concerns, you have any issues, don't be ashamed to ask questions, okay? Don't be ashamed to ask questions. That's how you learn. So feel free to drop questions on the Discord channel, okay? I think that's about that, except Mayowa has anything to say. But like I said, if you have any questions, please go ahead and, raise your hand or drop them. Okay, Mayowa has nothing to say. Or drop them in the chat session before we call it a day. I wrap this up. Okay, in the right. Benny Umo. All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Please, I noticed something like the last assignment that was the task that was given us for the social media post. We're asked to make a post on LinkedIn, Twitter, and then setting our experience. I actually went through because my first thought was posting it with the design I made. But after going through it like twice, then I noticed that there was no action on that we should post the designs we make. So that was why me personally, I did not even add it to the post when I made it on social media. So I think the instruction there was not that too clear. So maybe I just needed to point that out since maybe we're in the class and still have to open. We're talking about feelings. So that's how I feel. The instruction was not that clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So Ola, thank you very much. So I think thank you for that response to Lulupe on the chat. So I need you guys to not rush off and when your task is being submitted, like if you missed a class, because I mentioned this over and over in class, Benny. I said, create this design, right, and put it up on your LinkedIn and Twitter. I also mentioned that you have to, put in the effort and making sure that it looks visually appealing because you're putting this out there for people to actually see. So it was mentioned in class. So I need you guys to make sure to, watch the videos if you missed any class, because it is very, 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 very important, right? So you do not miss out on anything or any important information that is being stated. Okay, thank you very much. So do we have any other questions before we call it a day? So Harmony is asking, how do you gather the information needed to create an empathy map? Remember we talked about research, right? And taking down notes. I don't know if you can remember in the last class, taking down notes, or most people like to use a recorder for their user interview. So yes, that's how you gather the information needed. That's how you point out from what the person said. That's how we're able to put out all of these things that we did here for the empathy map. Okay. From the information gotten, which can actually be recorded, or you could actually be taking notes while you're doing the interview. So while you're throwing questions at the person, you're taking note of whatever response the person gives you. Harmony, is that clear? So do we have any other question? Rachel is asking, how can we differentiate between say and think? I'll leave that to your instinct. You know, there's a difference between people's thoughts. And that's what I said when we started the class, that we tend to, confuse the both of them or try to mix them up. There's a difference between what somebody is saying and what the person is thinking. So let me give you an example, because I'm still sharing my screen. I want to quickly check my account balance. That's not a thought. Okay. We also have, I'm worried about, that's not a thought. It's very clear. Okay. You just have to use your instinct, okay, to differentiate between the both of them. Benyumo says, I think gives birth to say. Well, that's another way to put it, because when somebody thinks about something, they tend to say something regarding whatever the person thought about. So yes, that actually makes sense. That thing gives birth to say. That's it. That's another way to put it. Balogun is asking, the personnel we are to generate, are we to gather the information from real people, or we should generate them? Okay, I don't exactly understand your question, but I think you're asking if you should generate, if you're getting your information from real people. So the user persona is actually, you're actually supposed to create a user persona after you've created an empathy map. So all your information is from the participants that you conducted the interview with. I don't know if you understand that. So that's where you're going to get your information from. So like I said, research on user personas and how to create them. And also to design one using Figma. Do you have any other questions before we call it a day? Okay, so in the absence of no other question, we've come to the end of today's class. And it's a wrap, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. For people who have never missed the class, thank you very much for dedicating your time. And for people that always make sure to watch the videos, you guys are doing very well, but you can actually do more. You can do more. So keep learning, keep pushing, keep asking the right questions. Reach out to me if you have any concerns. Reach out to the mentor, ask your questions. I think I really advise that you ask your questions in the open, because other people may be having these issues, but they don't want to speak up, or they don't actually know that they're having these issues. But when you ask your questions on the Discord channel, it could actually be a prayer answer, okay, to someone else who is having the same issue. Okay, so feel free to always ask your questions on the Discord channel or in the general group. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you.